Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm here with my team of investigators, or more correctly, Paul's team of investigators, for all things paranormal. And I now transfer the scepter of command to Paul Dale Roberts.
Thank you, Hercules. Hello, everybody. And before I tell you who our guest is, I want everybody to introduce themselves. Go ahead and just say your name and a little bio of who you are. So, Stefanie, our guest, which I'll tell you more about, she'll know who she's talking to. So, we'll start off with Hercules.
I'm Hercules Invictus. I'm Greek. I am a writer. I'm an investigator. I'm a researcher. I'm a public personality. I'm a minor politician. I'm a bunch of stuff.
All right. So, you got a lot of hats. Uh, Tim Swartz.
All right. Hi. I'm excited to talk with Stefanie tonight. Like you said, I'm Tim Swartz. I am an author and a paranormal explorer.
Fantastic. And Tim just recently put out a book. It's called The Persistence of Ghosts, if you can see that.
Yep.
I'll have it back here if you guys want to keep on looking at it. Next is Steve Ward.
I'm as you said, Steve Ford. I live in West by God, Virginia, on the same road that the Scarberries and the Mallets were chased by the Mothman in 1966. And I work at the Mothman Museum. I involved with the Mothman Festival, and I actually do have a book out that I co-authored with Mark Randall and about Mothman. He's a great graphic artist, and I think that's really all you need to know right now.
Thank you, Steve. Sue McClure.
Hey everyone, I'm Sue McClure and I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm a meditation specialist.
Sounds good. Thank you. And last but not least, Michael K. Waterman.
Okay, I am also Sekna Kamwaset, the high priest of the Pernateru temples. I am a writer, also an author, with now these days Today's Witch magazine. I'm one of their feature writers. I also have a book coming out soon, which is called The Serpent Wore Two Crowns, which will be published by Edward Sott, who is the publisher of Today's Witch. I have the Pernateru Temple. I'm also the wizard of Phona Wizard, which is a online service. And I guess that's about all I can say right now.
Thank you, Michael. And our guest tonight is Stefanie Page Belson. She's a CMT, which is a certified medical technician. She's involved with integrative healing. She's a paranormal investigator. She was once a paranormal investigator with Halo Paranormal Investigations, which was my group. She lives in Truckee, which is a very haunted town that we did an investigation at. She's a psychic medium. When she had a wedding, I went to it, and everybody was dressed as fairies. So that was kind of interesting. And I believe she is a pagan. Am I correct with all that, Stefanie, or am I just talking?
No, no, you're spot on. And like everybody else, probably here, I wear many hats. I'm not just a pagan. I'm pan-religious. Let's just say that.
Oh, okay, great. And listen, everybody, if there's when Stefanie starts talking about her story, if you want to jump in, you have some comments or questions for Stefanie, please do so. So, Stefanie, when did you learn that you were a psychic medium?
Well, in terms of an adult definition, like fitting into a box. That came, I guess, in my adult life, but I had very early experiences that indicated to me that I was having sensory experiences beyond what maybe others in my proximity were having. So, yeah, my evidential mediumship training took place kind of simultaneous to a fairly significant surgery, and I have an auntie who's a pretty well-known evidential medium who took it upon herself. Yeah, she's been my auntie my whole life, so she's known me since I was born, and she took it upon herself to formalize my training as an evidential medium. I had been working as a medical intuitive for years before that, but she wanted to lighten my physical load with patients by offering me another way to interface with people, which would have been like 2008, 2009, when I did my training as a medium.
Stephanie, when you say medical intuitive, is that where a person can touch another person and feel some type of ailment that they have or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's always that cut and dried. I think that for the development of my practice came about after experiences like you're describing, but I wanted something a little bit more hard and fast to be able to rely upon and repeat. So I could have a language that I understood, that I could communicate to other people about what they might be experiencing. So I would never, probably as a trained intuitive, grab onto somebody and just say something. I started to develop more dialogue with my patients over the course of time, and I did that for about 35 years, and it developed and changed over time. But those were my initial experiences, Paul, like being able to hands-on have real strong impressions, and that wasn't always a great experience. So getting the training that I needed was important, not only for my well-being, but for those with whom I would forge a bond and then work together on goals. They weren't always purely physical. They could be a body-mind kind of intention that somebody would set. So I've worked with folks from athletes in training or survivors of very serious trauma. So it runs the gamut, and I've had great people to refer to me, psychotherapists or coaches. So does that give you a better idea?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And what made you interested in the paranormal?
Well, like I mentioned early on, I was having experiences that I guess I've always called them like extrasensory or supersensory, like beyond what other people were experiencing from the time I was quite little. And I remember my first experiences being, I was still in a crib, so really little, like a year and a half. Those were my first experiences. And they were fairly profound experiences, not, again, always pleasant. So I think that's what, sparked my interest in what was going on in the world around me. Because I found out shortly after I was about 4, 5, 6, that age range, that people weren't having those exact same kinds of impressions or experiences. So that sparked my interest. And then I'm a Scorpio, so it goes with the territory.
That's cool. That's cool.
Since you had an event where you were dressed as a fairy and everybody was dressed as a fairy, that you believe in fairies. Is that correct?
I believe in the elemental world in reference to intelligent beings that are part of part of our world adjacent to the physical world. So yeah, elemental beings.
Yeah, because I actually, we actually have fairies in our backyard. You get the kind that kind of looks like the iPhone camera flash. It's white, and they just kind of a flash every now and then, similar to fireflies, but not the same type of pulse.
I've seen things like that. I
Yeah.
was never able to follow it to whatever the conclusion was, but I've had experiences like that you're describing.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
you know
I
these
love
beings can
fairies.
come in and out of
Oh
dimension?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I've had that, and that was, I think, when Paul asked me about my interest in the paranormal. That was, I think, what a little bit later in my life kind of galvanized me into more concrete action, because I was having interruptions into my life quite a lot as a young person without any real training or anybody to really show me the way. So yes, for sure, Michael, I had a lot of interruptions from the other side coming in and out from the time I was quite little.
I grew up in a coven. I grew up in, actually, it's more of a grove. We were more like 40 people in my
Mm,
town. We were broken up into little covens, but we would get together. For instance, Beltane is coming.
yep.
So very soon. So we were all together there. But I've always seen interdimensional, what I would call fairies, elves, gods, and goddesses all my life.
Yeah.
And I understand exactly where you are with that because of my training.
Yeah. Yeah. And the training for me was really pivotal in terms of having kind of a language and a concrete way to work with these energies so that my physical well-being wasn't compromised, because I have seen lots of folks with maybe capacities like yours or mine who have been really negatively interrupted over and over again because they don't gain that maybe capacity to have language and agency across all the different subtle worlds that we interact with. So that's been really a good thing for me.
By
I
the way, I
had
could
to,
feel you
yeah.
checking in on me. I am a 7 planet Virgo, and my rise is Scorpio. So that's where our connection is.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
I've actually had
Sorry,
to
I'm
wing it
moving.
all
I'm
my
just getting
life.
water.
So,
What's Sue?
so I had to wing it all my life. So was it kind of like that you didn't really have anyone to totally guide you? It was kind of like a touch and go everyday thing, like because I had that. I didn't have any training. I was surrounded by Christians that wouldn't believe any of that stuff. They would say it's your imagination and things like that. And so it was shut down for a long time until I
Sure.
finally just had it. I just couldn't put up with the silence anymore, so I had to start researching on my own. So, did you have that type of barrier?
I would say yes. I think that's pretty common for folks that have these super sensible interactions. But for me, I had a family that was multi-religious. So it was a great thing that I had people in my life that whatever their religion or denomination was, they were really open and faith-based people. So that was helpful to me because I felt like I at least had an in. Like I could talk about things that were, like if I would say I saw somebody in my room, yada yada, in the middle of the night, and yeah, generally I would get that, like, you were probably dreaming, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I had, in my family, Jews and Lutherans and Hindus, and I mean, and then different offshoots of all of those religions that were part of my life when I was young. So I felt really lucky to have those people in my life to kind of direct me. And I never got the full like beat down, like, no, that's not happening. But yeah, I think just being in the world where we're often encouraged to, yeah, shut that down, as you said, Sue, it's not great. Like, you're having experiences, and then eventually what happens is they kind of clamp down for a while, which is what happened to me for a short time.
Thank you.
Stephanie, could you give us an example of something that was going on with you as a child that you then were surprised to find out that not everybody was having the same experiences as you were having.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, my earliest experiences were when I was still in a crib. So I think it was reaching like my second birthday, right around that time, because it was Halloween and my birthday is in the beginning of November. And I had been out and about with my mom, and my little sister hadn't been born yet. I think my mom was probably pregnant, and or something like that. And I had come home from being in the stroller, and the early part of my life I was in New York City, so I was really surrounded by a very urban environment, although I really gravitated toward um, kind of earthy people and the grass and the trees. And where I lived, you weren't supposed to go on the grass, that kind of stuff. So I was always at odds with my environment. And then one night, after coming back from a stroller ride with my mom, I had fallen asleep, and then I thought I was probably dreaming, but I was fully wide awake, having this experience with these skeleton heads that were in these portals that were part of my crib. Like imagine if a crib mattress divided into two rows of four, like these 8 spaces, and there were these not super friendly kind of beings. And my experience with them is I could see the skeletal shape of their faces and bodies, but I was looking at them from up above down, so I could see their faces and their bodies. And of course I woke up screaming, and my mom came running in, and she was just saying, "No, it's a bad dream." But I was wide awake, and I could still see those beings after she had flipped on the light. So I didn't really take that with me and think, oh my gosh, I'm traversing into other worlds. But things like that continued to happen. So I had another one where like a child-sized skeleton came up out of a window well, those basement apartments, and then they'll have a little well so the window is exposed. So they're underground, and then there's a window up high. So I saw a couple of child-sized skeletons climbing out, and that was around the same time. And then another time I saw these maybe like gnome, like earth-based elementals coming out from under my bed. And this is when I was about 4.5. So I remember my mom was pretty diligent about getting my sister and I napped in the afternoon. And I was like, I'm not interested in having a nap, and I'm just playing on the bed. And so these maybe about 5 or so small creatures, they look like people, but they were maybe, I don't know, like 8 inches tall,
Those are
dressed up.
brownies,
Yeah,
Stephanie.
little, and this
They're
is like
brownies.
right in Queens, like
Hmm.
on Parsons and Jewel, like.
I know
And
exactly where that was.
yeah, and I remember having these little experiences where I'd see them out of the corner of my eye and that kind of thing. So I'm laying there, not sleeping, and they came out and lifted the bed skirt from on my mom's bed. I was laying on my mom's bed, and my mom was going to come put down my little sister next to me. And I just remember being so surprised that they were fully there, like in the physical, and they were sort of dancing. They looked up at me and they're waving. And so I just kind of backed up and watched them make their way just like a few feet to the wall, and they just disappeared in a little crack. They just scooched right behind there. And yeah, so these are experiences when I'm wide awake, and those kinds of things continued to happen, but less and less until I was about 6, 7 years old. And then that went dormant until I was a teenager.
Did
That
you
area
ever?
of Queens was settled by the Dutch originally, and those brownies came over on the Dutch ships. And I knew
They are
yeah.
dressed in just exactly that type of clothing.
I know.
Yeah.
I know them too. I grew up in Uniondale, by the way.
Cool.
So, and I lived in Forest Hills, Woodhaven, and Rego Park.
Yeah.
So I know that's
So
why I know
we gotta talk, you and
we'll
me.
talk.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
you know,
got
we'll talk later.
Yeah, I mean, even I have seen all these like skeletons and dead. Did you ever find out what that was all about? Because even now as an adult, I still have them appear, or like corpse or deads or skeletons. Sometimes they're chasing after me. Sometimes they're standing there in my bedroom and stuff. Did you ever find out what that was all about?
I did, but
Now,
they don't bother me anymore. I
Oh
mean,
wow, they're still coming to
yeah,
me.
yeah. I mean, I set up kind of a little perimeter that's sort of with me all the time. And it's funny because when Paul and I would go to a really active location, I would have to like sort of ask my guardians and guides to back up because I think that I was just so vulnerable that I got this line of defense that's sort of always with me. And again, and that was just like I was intuiting that, right? But I have run into really um really well-known and very solid, steady psychic mediums who say, "Oh, you've got a whole security team with you." Like again and again, I've heard that. So that's what I thought was probably happening. So when Paul and I would show up at a place, I would have to say, "Okay, everybody, just give me some space on this because I'm trying to help somebody. So I need you guys to stand back." So I think that what was happening for me at that time, Sue, was that uh, for me to be scared gave them sort of like food. That's what it felt like to me.
Okay.
And also too, Stephanie was involved in our investigation of the serial killers Leonard Lake and Charles Ng over in Wilseyville, and the cabin was demolished, but Stephanie was able to pick up on the energy where the cabin was actually located.
Yeah,
And if you know anything about the serial killers, they had, I think the police confiscated something like 30
30.
films. Yeah,
Yeah,
30 films of them torturing, murdering, and
yeah,
doing whatever to these poor women.
yeah.
So, and and
Families,
yeah,
families,
yeah,
families.
and if I remember right, Stephanie also too pointed out an area where I should take a picture at because she felt like one of the victims was there. So I snap a photo and I get a mist.
Yeah, and it was really very much in the outline of a human being. And so just to follow up on that thought, like when I go into those situations, if I've got my whole security team, nothing's really going to come through, even those dearly departed that haven't been able to leave. Nobody's going to be able to get through to me. So that's when I started being able to say, okay, I need space. And, I still want you attached. So if I need you, you can come in. But my goal always, when I go on an investigation, especially now that I've had many years doing this, I just go in the same way that I might with a living person. So I'm there to conduct a session to help someone to get unstuck from where they are and have the best possible outcome and have like a therapeutic connection, a real spirit, soul, and heart connection to allow these individuals who might still be repeating these not great energies. So that's what Paul and I were doing. And I just picked it out of like, we were just going down the road. I had no idea. And I like to go in 100% cold. Like I often don't like to know anything about it, not know where I'm going. And I have a very specific methodology for investigating. So that's what I was always so grateful about. Paul was such a good teacher to me because I had only done these kinds of interactions when they would come into my office with people. Like sometimes people would come in with their people or attachments, and that was my only experience. So Paul was gracious enough to allow me to just develop and understand my abilities more completely.
Yeah, and that is really incredible. Also, too, listening to your story as a child and you were seeing those things. Also, too, when I was a child living on Effie Street in Fresno, California, I would see like little skull faces with little bat wings flying into my bedroom and terrifying me. And
Yes.
yeah, it was that place. I can think of all the things that happened to me like it was just yesterday. And one of the most scariest things is when I was looking out the bedroom window and I heard this woman's voice. And I told this to Tim because he put out a book called Mimics. And there was a woman's voice which sounded like my mother. And she was in the orange grove. And she goes, Dale, my parents call me Dale. That's my middle name. Dale, come here. Dale, come here. And I'm going, what the hell? I could have sworn my mother was in the kitchen. I run into the kitchen and there's my mother. If I went out to the orange grove, what would have happened to me? You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, oh, so spooky.
Yeah, I think that those beings are really similar, possibly, to what I experienced, because what their intention felt like to me was to get me frightened. And so after those first couple of experiences, of course, I was frightened, but I had this ability to kind of, I was a real verbal kid and I read early. And so I had a lot of chances to talk to grown-ups. I'm the oldest of my entire generation. So I had all these grown-ups to myself, and they were all very faith-filled people and very encouraging to me, even though they would say things like, oh, ghosts aren't real or monsters aren't real, in an effort to calm me down, because I sometimes would get really afraid to go to bed. But I had these great supports. Like my mom was a really good support to me and my grandparents, but I felt like those beings had at the heart of their intention this need to feed off of my being afraid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the things that happened on the FE Street in Fresno, there was a whole
Yeah.
lot more, but I'm not, this show's not about me, it's about you. So
Well,
I'm
but
stopping.
you really helped to encourage me, because we had lots of times as we were driving to some far-flung places to talk about this. And it was really heartening to know, though it was so difficult for you to know, that someone else had experienced virtually identical and like everybody has shared very similar experiences. And I think the best thing, I mean, if nothing else, if anybody is listening to this that's out there that's curious about having these capacities, because I really believe everyone absolutely has these capacities. And as Sue mentioned, they kind of get shoved back to the back burner. But I think, the intersection of thought and will and reality we're getting closer to spirit and science being very married. And I think that we're going to be able to have these repeatable experiences. But I believe that the training and looking for evidential information and being able to come up with a hypothesis and see if we can repeat it. And that's what I was talking about when I talked about my specific preferred way of doing an investigation. No matter who I'm with or whatever, I really encourage people to use those capacities, that muscle.
And Stephanie, do you still investigate?
I do, and I've been spending I'm not in Truckee anymore, I just moved back.
Oh, you're in
I'm right
Sacramento.
down the street. So I had the opportunity, because I worked with the Truckee Donner Historical Society, so I had wonderful opportunities to go into the homes of friends of mine that, when I was a kid, there'd be a ghost in there. So I had these cool experiences working, crunching data and putting stuff, stuff from the fire safes into an electronic base, for information, and looking at the Sanford maps. So that was pretty cool. But the thing that I've been focusing on more specifically, and that I'm sort of methodical in the way that I work together with whomever I end up at a site. I kind of hand out all these little notepads. I give one to each person, a little writing implement, and then I give everyone a chance to sort of write down everything that they're experiencing before. I mean, I can't control what everybody knows ahead of time, but I like to have everybody just do a little walkthrough and just jot things down without any judgment. And that's been something that I've continued to focus on. And then taking it a step further, utilizing the Estes method, which came out of, I'm trying to remember his name, Carl, it's on the tip of my tongue, it'll come up. But there were two investigators that at Estes, Colorado, at the Stanley, continued to utilize 100% noise canceling headphones with some kind of a fast sweeping spirit box, like an SB7 or something like that. The one that I'm using goes like 200, you know, it has a very high rate of scan. And that's what I focused on for like the last 6 years, just really getting people that maybe have never done investigating. Maybe they just are interested in having a new experience. The Gansfield method and the Estes method is sort of the way I've spent my time. And so I'm going to briefly mention what it looks like. So somebody puts on noise canceling headphones, they get the white noise. And especially when I was up in Truckee and in the mountains, the surrounding High Sierra, you don't get a lot of bleed through from radio stations. And if you do, I'm on such a high rate of sweeping that I'm not going to get full sentences unless there's someone present with us or something. And I've had so many people just being blown away that have never done any investigating. And I'd say, you know, do you want to wear the headphones? Do you want to sit there for, give me a time frame? Because, you know, you can get really in that trance-like state. And I don't want to overextend somebody that's never done this. So that's what I spent the last like 6 years doing, using really good like drummers headphones, plugging them into the like the shack hack that I have and running through at a high rate of speed. One of the best ones that I did was in Sierraville. And you know, that's just north of Truckee, about 20 miles. And it was just stunning for the folks that had never done an investigate, for me as well. Like I'm always surprised. I don't know if you remember, Paul, but I'd be like, I can't believe it myself. Like sometimes it's shocking to me, like how accurate and how clearly the beings that we're communicating with come through.
Oh yeah, you know, and I got to tell everybody. Okay, so Stephanie used to live in Truckee, California. Truckee is an old town, and it is very haunted. In fact, very close to it is where the Donner Party was at, where they were eating each other and just to survive. That's very haunted. But
Yeah.
Truckee, we did a scouting mission over there,
Yeah.
and there was this one room where this cowboy guy, he was part of the tour, and he says, he told me, he took me to the side. He says, Paul, you know, I just came on this Truckee scouting mission just to see what you guys do, you ghost hunters. He goes, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't believe in ghosts. Okay. I said, okay, fine, that's fine. So we went into his room, and there was a bunch of us there. And I told everybody to be quiet. We're going to try to get some EVPs. So I did it a couple times, nothing. And then on the third time, it says the ghost was on there, and he said, "You need to get the fuck out of this room," or blah blah blah, and something like that. But it was very clear.
Oh yeah.
And the cowboy guy who room that we're at, he listens to it and he's blown away. He goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe this," you know. And I say, "You believe in ghosts now?" And he goes, yeah. So anyway, about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm seeing him pacing back and forth on the hallway. I go, Jimmy, what are you doing? It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing pacing back and forth? He goes, "I can't go in that room. It's haunted."
Damn right it was.
Actually, we were at Truckee Hotel.
Yeah, that was yes.
He had his first taste.
That was a stunning investigation. We got so much.
Yeah.
We got so much that night.
Oh yeah. That ghost had it out for that guy, that cowboy. Oh, and you know, in Truckee also too, we had tragedy there. remember that guy?
The dog.
He's a former police officer.
Yeah.
We're walking towards the cemetery, and there was like on the gutter, it
A
was
canal.
like a canal. Okay, yeah, it was a sheer cliff going down,
Yep.
and his poor dog fell over the cliff and died.
Ooh.
Oh my God, I was going to shut down everything. He goes,
Wow.
no, Paul, you got all these people here. He goes, you got to keep on with it.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to shut it down. I was heartbroken.
It was shocking.
Yeah, it was sad, very sad.
Yeah. But that was a very active investigation. We just had the right blend, the right vibe. Everything was just, I was just stunned at what great audio that we got that night, all through the night. And we got some really stunning photographic evidence. Remember when I took you guys to the Catholic cemetery, the little cemetery? Yeah, that was so active.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was just, it was very successful. And a lot of people showed up. A lot.
Yeah.
How many people showed up, you think?
50, 40, something. I mean, it was a lot of people.
A lot of people.
We booked all those rooms.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh my God. Yeah, so if you guys ever come to California, check out Truckee, California.
On that note, just to give a foreshadowing, around 15 more minutes left.
15 more minutes? Time went by that fast?
Wow.
Yeah.
It does when you're having a good time. Yeah.
Right.
No. So anyway, I'm going to shut my mouth. You guys have anything you want to ask Stefanie or make any comments?
Well, I'll ask something real quick here. You know, you're talking about Truckee. Why do you think that there are some locations that are more active than others, considering that really no matter where you are on this planet, people have died there? You know, so why would a place like Truckee be more active than, say, the town next to it?
Sure. I mean, I have a couple of different ideas, and I don't know because I've never come to a complete hypothesis, but I believe that certain places are kind of bombarded with living energy a lot, and maybe that moves things around and thins it out. But Truckee is a fairly quiet place a lot of the time. I know that. I know that people's hopes and dreams were really right there, you know, wearing their hearts on their sleeves. Everything was hanging in the balance for their futures, perhaps. And I also have the idea that maybe the combination of individuals, the environment at the time, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that some of those things might go into the whys and wherefores. I also believe that, you know, like magnetic resonance, electromagnetism, all of those things and the way that they work in a particular environment might also lend a certain kind of, what would you call it? Like ability for that area to be a hotspot. I do know that areas where we have a lot of water running or a lot of underground quartz, things like that, I think that we're really on the edge of finding that stuff out. It's such a good question because I really do think at the intersection of all of these sort of disciplines or arts or areas of science are coming together to really help us to qualify and quantify some of these experiences. And now we have such amazing technology at our disposal. And I think it's going to be the structured gathering and analysis of those kinds of things that will help us to get a better answer to that question.
Is it possible that it could be on a ley line or even an intersection? Because when you have an intersection of a ley line, that tiny little point that connects the crosses together, that's where the power can really come in. And then if you have the geological elements around it adding to it, it can amplify it. And I always thought that if there was certain types of energy, whether it's negative or positive, it depends on where the scale is tilted. So if you're in an area that has so much negativity, and then even if the negativity was way in the past, in the town, for example, ended up more in a positive, range, that still that they would, because of the light, the more light you pump in after negative kind of gets pushed out, negative tries to come back in. It's kind of an oil and water fight.
And Sue,
Do you
I
believe
got
that that's possible?
Sue, Stephanie, Tim. Okay, this is something I got to tell you. You're talking about ley lines. Okay, the area Truckee is actually over two triangles. The Gold Country Triangle, which people see a lot of UFOs, and there's a lot of gold out there in UFOs.
Yeah.
It's like extraterrestrials are
They
interested
love gold.
in the gold. Bigfoot
Yeah.
is seen out there. Ghosts are seen out there. So you have the Nevada Triangle, which goes
Yeah.
through there, and you have the Gold Country Triangle. So you have
Yeah.
both triangles, and you have all kinds of paranormal activity. It is a hot spot.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
your answer. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also too, you got to think it was the Wild Wild West. Those are beer guzzling cowboys.
Yeah.
They're gonna be
Yeah.
rowdy. And they're
I
gonna
mean, just the amount of like as I was kind of putting data into our computers, taking them out of the fire safes, going through every single solitary thing. Yeah, like I said, people's fortunes were riding on really fine threads, and as I mentioned before, also, I think that thought and will and intention, those all kind of run through. And Sue was talking about like negative and positive energies. You know, I think that anywhere you are, anything can happen. But I also believe the more an area is bombarded with the constancy of human daily interaction, it makes it harder, for me anyhow, a little harder to connect. So for instance, at my office out in the Fair Oaks area, I really was striving to making a very protected space when I was working with people. And we had many vigils, seances, and gallery readings out there. And a lot of that brought very positive energy. And people would say to me, "Aren't you afraid of whatever, bringing this?" And I was like, no, I'm not. Because when I'm coming here and I'm also cleaning the space on a regular basis with all of this positive intention, that's what I will continue to attract. That doesn't mean that I didn't get difficult information coming in at times, but I think that there are so many things that we are going to find out. Hopefully we'll find out more in my lifetime, but definitely within the next 100 years, there are going to be so many breakthroughs.
I agree. And I know that you can see the space that all of us are working in right now. My energy, my space is extremely positive and clear. There is no energy. I had 3 ghosts in here. They're gone. My Elizabeth, actually Eleanor Collins, who died in 1880, she left. Because what my teacher just told me this morning, and it's true, is I sent their energy back where they belong. So I feel
Yeah.
very good about that. But that's part of what I do. I worked with Long Island paranormal investigators for a long time. I was
Cool.
their spiritual guide. Um, I'm not as known as you are, obviously, but I had the energy and it was good. And I believe me, running around a place like Ronkonkoma, where there's a bunch of dead bikers, spirits wise, that was fun. That was real fun. So I mean,
Wow.
I love and I really respect what you do very much.
Yeah, same thing, Michael, for sure. I mean, I just know that when we get a hold of our capacities and we can use them in the service for good, it really feeds us. And in turn, it amplifies the goodness in everyone around us.
And Sue, if you're having problems with interference, get yourself a nice sized black tourmaline and send that energy back where it came from.
Absolutely.
Works.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot of black tourmaline here. So, yep.
Doggone it! I wish this was a longer show because this was very interesting. Everybody has some great comments and everything else. I learned a lot. So it's great stuff.
Thanks,
I'm the
Paul. It's always fun to work with you. I've had such a great history with you. I look always forward to getting together.
Oh, thank you.
and I'm the guy that nothing ever happens to me. I've had one interesting paranormal experience in my entire life. So I'm just I've
I
been really
totally get it.
enjoying hearing this.
I get it. I mean, like for years, I had nothing happening. And I was just grateful that people came into my life to help me with that because I was desperate. I wanted to know the realms of the paranormal and the other worlds that are so adjacent to us. And
I'm not really sure that I want to experience that, but
Right.
I'll keep you posted.
What I can tell you, Steve, is you're very protected. You've got very good energy around you, very white light, and I don't think any of those negative energies are going to penetrate you anyway.
Well,
So
I
just
appreciate
keep
that.
up the good work, guy. That's all I can say.
It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
intentional, whatever it is.
well, they're looking out for you.
One day, Paul, I'll tell you my bizarre experience, but it'll take a few minutes to get there. So maybe
Oh,
another
yeah,
show.
yeah. Definitely.
Oh, let's do it.
Hear it.
What now?
No, unfortunately, now
I think we have half of a minute. That's it. Next time.
Yeah, next time. Stay tuned.
More time to it as much as it deserves.
It'll take a few minutes.
That'd be
But
awesome.
it was bizarre.
I would love that.
Doggone it. Steve, I want to hear it.
We don't have enough time now, do we?
No, we don't, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately, no.
But
Okay.
But
We're going to
next,
leave people on the edge of their seats to hear my bizarre story.
We're ending with.
Hey, may I ask something before we close real quick? My
Give people time to
godson
share
was
their.
killed in Davis last week. He was 20 years old. He was a sustainable agriculture student. And if you guys could take him with you into your prayer life this evening, I would so appreciate that as he's crossing over.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'll send him blue cobalt lighting. That'll heal.
Hercules, should everybody say how we can get in touch with everybody?
That would be great.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, Sue McClure, how can people reach you?
I am on Facebook under Sue McClure. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. People can email me at SueLightworker@gmail. That's SOOLIGHTWORKER@gmail.com. People are welcome to message me on Facebook Messenger, also under Sue McClure. If anybody wants to make an appointment or talk or whatever, I'm here. I'm available.
All right.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. Stephanie, how can people reach you?
I'm easy to find. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. And then you can find my website from either of those jumping off places. Stefanie Paige Belson.
Fantastic. And Steve Ward, how can people reach you?
Steve Ward, Facebook, type in Point Pleasant, West by God, Virginia, and you'll probably find me.
Oh, cool.
Fantastic. Michael K. Waterman, how can people reach you?
Well, Michael K. Waterman on Facebook. You can get me now at Michael K. At todayswitch.net, which is really kind of fun. You can call me 516-650-3691. Or if you want to email me, I am mkwaterman@iCloud, not clown, iCloud.com.
Thank you so much. And Tim Swartz, our legendary Tim Swartz, how can people reach you?
Sure. Well, right now I'm pushing our latest book. It's called The Persistence of Ghosts. And
Cool.
Paul Dale Roberts and Michael and Hercules all have just excellent chapters in this book. You can find it on Amazon.com right now. Hopefully soon in brick and mortar bookstores and your local library. Please patronize both. And you can find my website, which is timrswartz.com.
Fantastic. And Hercules, did we do you already?
No.
I can
Oh,
be reached here on YouTube. Just to look up my name, Hercules Invictus, and all the programs that we've done are listed there. And Paul Dale Roberts, how about you? How can people enter your world?
then you can find me. Find me this way. There's my business card, and if you can't read it, okay, forget it.
I lost you.
You can actually find me through Tim's book right here, The Persistence of Ghosts. You can find some of my stories in here, and you'll find my contact information. Also, too, you'll find me on this show right here, All Things Paranormal, which is a Hercules Invictus production.
So thank you, everyone, for an amazing show. Thank you, Paul, for hosting an amazing show and gathering amazing guests. I wish you all well in your adventures and look forward to our next conversation with each other. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Health and prosperity, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Blessed be.